Hello, this is Lisalee and welcome to my channel. So today we are continuing this series, working with deities, figuring it out with Lisalee. And this is a weird one. This is first of all, like the hardest this job has ever been. The work that I'm doing here with YouTube, this deity has been the most difficult. And not only that, I'm fearful about this one because, you know, we left off with Lilith, and basically how I've been doing these is I set an intention, I light my candles, I like sit and I, you know, connect with the divine, and I invite the deity that wants to deliver a message. You know, I just like open space, and so, you know, for Jesus to show up, and this particular Jesus is the Jesus that saved me from Christianity. So I was born into like fundamentalist, like Roman Catholic, and on my dad's side, and fundamentalist Christian on my mom's side, like really intense, like the worst place I think on earth for, well, maybe not on earth, but like one of the worst places for a psychic child to be born is into one of those two environments, because I can't, you know, there was no place for me to exist authentically. And so it was fear factor, like all the time. And that's sort of my you know, my little bit autobiographical. But so the Jesus coming through is not the Jesus of like the hateful, you know, anybody's. It's Jesus that loves everybody, and there's no rules and there's no law. And it's in adherence with no particular religion. So this is being brought through also the way that Jesus sort of conveys things through like personal revelation. This is going to be brought through in a like a reading would be, you know, like for you. It's going to be you centered, and so a personal reading basically. So we're doing a personal reading for you, and the reason that it can work with a large audience is because well, if you can envision schools of fish that move together, and the water that supports them and informs like the consciousness that moves them together like that, it's everybody's message. Everybody who's here in this school of fish, this is your like personal message to you, and it applies. So but in the same vein, you know, your intuition is and your discernment is your discernment is your first line of defense and everything. Take what resonates, and if it doesn't sound like it's for you, that's okay, because that just means like somebody else needed it. Death in reverse, we like to see it in that position. Let's keep going. So I'll see if I can keep these in some kind of a semblance of is that even a little bit straight? No, it's weird with this being what it is. All right, let's put that there. There's a release happening here, something that hold on, let's get some more cards before I dive right in. Before I dive in, with the Magician on the bottom of the deck, this could mean a number of things. Something had to die for you. Well, it did. You know, you left a situation, a mindset, a person, a belief system, but there was some unfinished, still rotting, and there might still be some unfinished, still rotting. Like there's aspects of whatever you are done with forever that you haven't done like the final paperwork, or like fully put that stuff away, or you know, like there's just some lingering aspect that's rotting, but you are ready to be done. You're ready to see this thing die. And in order to do it, you do have to come from, you have to find your spark. You really do, like, you really truly need to find your spark. And you're like painfully aware of the fact that you need to find your spark, even with this, this feeling of like overall like exhaustion and like a level of like where you feel like something's rotting and you just want to be done with it already. And that's because like you are moving into this space with the Empress card. This is assured. This is, you know, this is why you keep on sort of, this is all the good things that like you keep on being told or feel or see, like, you know, and from a place of disbelief that like good things are going to happen. Good things can happen to you. You're going to be okay. You're going to be able to like bring this, you know, hope or this wish or this desire to the finish line. It's there. It's written in the stars right here. But so much of what you're contending with in the way of letting something painful, horrible, difficult die, in order to and to do so, it's like you have to like simultaneously be like what is rotting in the earth and trying to spring forth from like a seed towards like whatever might be sunshine. Like you need this spark to do it, and I think it's almost the divine masculine energy, this like spark of something, you know, some blueprint of how you're gonna push through the soil, some blueprint of how you're gonna re-enter the world, something in the way of like a framework or a sketch or an outline of what you want your life to become. So and feel like you can deserve it, and also feel like you can put in the work to get there, because for some reason you know what you want in theory, but no clue from a heart, mind, or soul, or even spirit place, like, you know, missing that spark about like what would make it worth the effort to implement on a hope. So it's really a sickness around the heart and hope that Jesus is kind of wanting to like bring our attention to. Like you can have it all, but like, you know, you really do have to find your spark after a painful death, so much so that there's still this, there's a lot, it's like there's a lot that's still haunting you. It's just these things that are haunting you, and you need to finally like exercise, clean out the house, like do that thing to rid yourself of that energy, and because you've been carrying this, it's been over, it's been finished, and you've been carrying it around on your back anyway. Like you've still been like everywhere you go, there's this heavy weight of what you've already completed. And yet like this area and like where this still has you stuck, where this still has you convicted, you know, it's like you can't look away from the losses that were incurred in whatever it was that it meant to leave that situation. How crooked is the... If it's a mess today, it's because, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of like, Jesus puts me in a sort of emotional, kind of a soft place that I don't think I can care about whether or not it's, oh look, that's fine. Anyway, so with the Hanged Man and the Five of Cups over here, being fixated on the loss, this is like almost like an ego thing, like being fixated on the fact that there was so much pain that went unwitnessed, pain that no one saw, pain that didn't get any comfort except the comfort that you could provide yourself, which is why that comfort, providing yourself comfort over that pain, I don't want to say that it's become like a habit, or you're in a lot of pain. That pain needs a lot of attention. There isn't the emotional support system available, and the pain is greater than your capacity to handle it on your own. The best you can do in trying to heal it is to hold it. But this level of focus on holding the pain is putting you in a stuck position when it comes to your growth and the acceleration of your growth and your ability to be in a bigger tank and in a consciousness, in a different consciousness, one that's not just focused on keeping yourself from drowning in what seems like emotions that are bigger than you. Because they are emotions that are bigger than you. Jesus wants to come in and say, like, you know, like, enter into this bittersweet place where you understand that I understand that these emotions, oh gosh, see, every time I try to work with Jesus or film with Jesus, have been 3 other, like, readings where I've had to, like, stop, and I regret doing it, but because I start crying. Because Jesus does this when he's speaking, like, the tears. So, you know, I think I'm just, like, because I do not want to delay anymore of letting Jesus speak because I start crying. I'm totally just gonna, like, live out one of my, like, embarrassment fears, and just if I cry a whole lot, I'm just gonna cry, like, just Jesus and the channeling of Jesus, like, there will be weeping and there's nothing I can do about it. So sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay, not gonna break the channel, getting right back in alignment. If I cry, this is the only way this message comes out, is with tears. This, I think, is how it works. Jesus really is addressing on a very, like, heart space. Here comes tears. So when Jesus says, I know that the pain is bigger. Please tell me that we're all crying together. But because this is very big. So, you know, I can't, like, I'm feeling this channel come through, and I'm feeling this compassion for you. And for myself as well, I guess. And it's just like, this is, I guess, why they say the compassion of Christ, because the level of compassion that Jesus is expressing in the way of, like, I know that the pain is bigger than you're supposed to have to, like, handle on your own, or that you can, and that, like, there's some, like, relief in being able to tell you that it's okay to be in a space that you can't meet your, like, where you know you can't meet your emotional needs, that it's okay to be there, to allow yourself to be there, and, like, be in the peace of that moment of saying, like, I can't meet my emotional needs, and just, like, letting it be, instead of having this frantic fear around doing something about it. And so that Jesus can show us this technology where, when we let it be, and let's let it be right now, let's hold it in the space of letting it be, and we're not judging it, and we're not going to question it, and we don't need a story around it. We just, like, let it be. Jesus says, like, when you call my presence, or the presence of any deity, or the presence of an ancestor or a loved one that has passed, and you call your own presence into this space, when we all are in the presence of the space of this pain, to hold yourself and be there, and just be there, and allow yourself to be witnessed by those energies that you invite in, and that are with us now, and that is happening for you right now through this channel. And allow for the healing of letting that pain be witnessed without your judgment, and let it sit for as long as it needs to. Pause the video, and if you need to come back, like, that's okay too. But Jesus is inviting us to just know that, like, that's a space that it's okay to be, and it's a space that Jesus teaches us healing and the miracle of what it means to be able to heal ourselves emotionally, and he's teaching this technology around that. And so of course I have to, like, cry everywhere. Hold on, let me just get out to tissue. We're having an experience. But this is why it's been so hard to bring it through the Jesus message. Because if I tell you how many times I've started this message and then been like, well, I can't be, like, sobbing. Yeah, it's inappropriate. No, I have to just be sobbing. This is the only way this is coming out. So Jesus is really, like, very much acknowledging that, like, your growth is stunted by the maintenance involved in keeping a perspective that has you not drowning. And Jesus is saying that is also holding on to the pain in a way that isn't allowing you to see you know, what's being offered, you know, by way of new life, and the other are 2 cups. And so Jesus says, you know, you're capable of being this empress, this being able to create from a place of abundance, being able to nurture and give and create and have all that you are able to like bestow upon the world in the way of like your amazing presence be something that doesn't drain you. You know, that you have such a level of abundance and the knowledge and wisdom and mastery in all areas that you're able to create from abundance, and you can, and it doesn't ever exhaust you. Like, there's such a beauty in what you actually are capable of, and that you know your potential is. And so when you have to let this thing that's so hard to let die, and it's not hard for you to let this die because you're attached to it, it's hard for you to let this die because it's attached to a way of thinking about life that had you responsible for the well-being of another who wouldn't take responsibility for themselves. And that's sort of what this death speaks to specifically. But this death also can speak to, you know, a version of yourself that lost time under, like, because you couldn't, like, there's so many ways that we abandon ourselves, either in service of others, in service of ideals, in service of like causes. So many ways that we end up abandoning ourselves, and that has to be done with, you know, that and the new you that is motivated and that operates from a different place is to be born. And so when we look at what's been so hard, you know, in addition to knowing that, yeah, these emotions are really, really big, is carrying around something that's already finished, going in your new direction with the weight of something that's already over, that's already completed. And it's like the ideal of what you want to feel like in life, and then there's the reality of what it actually feels like in life. And so it's like you're carrying the weight of what you want your life to be. And holding on to what, you know, this is almost like the comfort zone, you know, like this being the ideal of what makes the quality of life amazing, you know, and you've already completed the phase in your life of getting to that place and getting to that level, but now you're trying to keep that level of quality of life or comfort zone or safety or whatever this ends up being that you've attained, but you've already got the lessons from it, and you feel stifled and you feel stuck and you want more, but you would have to change this and let go of this that's already finished, you know, in order to stop feeling like this about what it means to move towards a life that you're not living yet. It's like, this is why this is what you're moving towards, and yet you're carrying what you don't want to change, but you need to change. And it's scary. And so Jesus sort of is saying, like, yeah, there's a lot of fears involved in what it means to truly let go of what's no longer serving you, to truly let go of what is no longer part of your mission. It's painful, you know, because you feel like this responsibility for, you know, so many besides yourselves. Like, Jesus is sort of saying that there's it's absolutely true that the environment that all of us are living in and have, like, the structure that we have had to grow through, the place where we're all the flower that grew through the concrete. We're all the flower that was unlucky enough to grow, you know, in a shady spot that didn't get much sun. So we're all, you know, all of our growth is like it has been very difficult because there's been a lot opposing our expansion, our growth, like our creative capacity. This has been a rough environment to be born into and have to grow through, and so that's being acknowledged. And so what has been completed is this understanding that, like, the dream that you've been sold, you know, that was advertised to you of what makes a good life, that was like a bad, you know, deal, and now you see what is the worth, you know, you see what you want. You don't want to be in whatever this change is. You want to be in this new place. We need a new story. Jesus is showing me that there's isolation here, and there's being trapped in isolation and imprisoned by it. Let's take a look. I think I'm going to take a little break. I find it kind of hard to do this. Let me come back.